Welcome to the ATA Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Baird. Each month on the podcast, we bring you news and insights from the American Translators Association. We look at what's happening at ATA, explore the benefits of membership, and discuss the translation and interpreting professions. You know, the T&I industry is changing rapidly. We hope this podcast will help you keep up with it. ATA was founded over 60 years ago to advance the translation and interpreting professions and foster the professional development of individual translators and interpreters. We have nearly 10,000 members in some 100 countries. If you'd like to know more about ATA, we'll have some information for you at the end of the show. And you'll also find links in the notes. All right, let's start off with a few quick announcements.
Hey there, translators and interpreters. Have you ever wondered if you're charging enough for your services, or how your rates compare to those of other freelance language professionals? Or maybe you work in-house and want to know if your salary is competitive? Then you should take the ATA Compensation Survey. Only you can help ATA collect enough data to help you make crucial business decisions, like how much to charge. The survey closes on October 1st, and both members and non-members residing in the US are welcome to participate. Everyone who takes the survey in September will receive free access to an ATA webinar. Don't wait. Take the survey now and help ATA help you better understand the T&I market. Follow the link in the show notes for more details. Also, ATA's Governance and Communications Committee, in consultation with the ATA Board, has developed a proposal for changing ATA membership categories. The board is now asking members to comment on this proposed membership structure. The proposal must be approved by voting members as outlined in the bylaws in order to become final. Please send your comments by September 24th. In other news, ATA has addressed letters to President Biden and other administration officials urging Congress to immediately prioritize the evacuation of Afghan interpreters and their families to a safe location outside Afghanistan. In the letter, ATA President Ted Wozniak states that acting swiftly is strategically important because linguists are essential in the global war on terror, and their safety is inextricably tied to the safety of us all. And finally, International Translation Day is just around the corner on September 30th. ATA has planned an entire week of activities this year, so be sure to mark your calendars and be prepared to join in the fun. More details will be announced soon. Stay tuned! For more information on each of these announcements, look for the links in this episode's notes.
All right, we're back. Today, we're going to preview ATA 62. That's ATA's 62nd annual conference. It's being held October 27th to 30th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And joining me to give you that sneak peek is Madalena Sanchéz-Zampaulo. Madalena currently serves as ATA President-elect and Chair of the Governance and Communications Committee. She is an ATA certified translator and owner of Accessible Translation Solutions, a boutique translation agency based in Southern California. She's also a consultant for the University of Louisville Graduate Certificate in Translation. You know, like last year, Madalena is this year's conference organizer. It's one of the roles of the ATA President-elect. And after planning ATA's first ever virtual conference last year, she is now in the final planning stages of ATA's inaugural hybrid conference. And I, for one, am really looking forward to hearing what she has to say about it. So, Madalena, it's really nice to have you back on the podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Matt.
You know, in preparation for this podcast today, I went back and I listened to our conference preview we did together last year. And I couldn't help but noticing that I could basically repeat some of the things that I said in my intro. You know, I said, quote, for many of us, ATA's annual conference is the high point in our professional calendar, end quote. So what's interesting is even though that it was a virtual event last year, that as far as I'm concerned, that statement holds true. And I also said, quote, we all walk away re-energized with new ideas and strategies, new opportunities and connections, and above all, new friends, end quote. Again, still true. Even though it was remote, I look back and that was still a very valuable experience. And I even met some new people. That said, I have to tell you, I am so looking forward to being there and seeing everybody in Minneapolis this year. What about you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, It's something that we all look forward to every year, but I feel like especially this year when we weren't able to meet last year, it's just going to be like such a huge reunion for us to all be able to come together. And we're going to do so as safely as possible. And we realize not everybody can make it in person this year, but we definitely are going to make the most of it when we see each other. So one thing I wanted to share, though, is that if you're not familiar with the conference and you're listening to this as your first conference-related podcast through ATA, our conference is the largest TNI industry event in the world. It typically happens in late October or early November, and we have as many as 2,000 language lovers who come together from around the world to learn from leaders in our industries. And so we like to make that an opportunity to connect with each other, with other translators and interpreters, to meet companies who are looking to hire, and also to get involved in the association more.
All right. Well, let's talk now specifically about Minneapolis. Can you give us a brief introduction into this year's conference?
Yeah, so as you said in your intro, Matt, this is our 62nd annual conference. And when you think about that, thinking about the fact that the conference has been going on for, this will be the 62nd year, it's just amazing to me. But this year is being held in Minneapolis from October 27th to October 30th at the Hyatt Regency. This is, like you said, our first hybrid event, and that means that you can choose to attend either in person or virtually. We are doing something that, from what I understand from our AV team and partner, is something that other conferences do not do, and that is that we are going to be streaming and recording all 120 educational sessions, plus almost all of the AST sessions, which we're going to talk about, I know. But speaking of AST sessions, there is a day set aside for those specialized 3-hour courses the day before the conference. And that's what we call Advanced Skills and Training Day. So we just call it AST Day. And we'll have lots of networking opportunities, a job fair again, an exhibit hall. And if you're uncertain whether you'd like to attend in person, I'd really encourage, if you're listening to this, to visit the conference website. That's ata62.org, and check out the videos there. You'll get a good feel for what both the in-person and the virtual conference is like.
You know, to sum the fact that this is the annual conference of the American Translators Association might actually sound like it's an event for ATA members only and B, for translators only. But I know that's not the case. So who is this conference designed for? Who should attend?
Yeah, well, no, it's not just for translators. That's definitely not the case. It's open to both members and non-members, and we have people who regularly attend our conference who are translators, interpreters, language company owners, language technology developers. We have teachers, government agencies, and people from over 50 countries. So I think last year for the virtual conference, I want to say, oh, how many countries did we have? It was way more than 50, but it's 4 days of nonstop learning and networking, learning about everything from a specific specialization in a specific language pair to things like the latest tools. And everything, you know, that we share is current, and in even sometimes what the future holds for practical tips, maybe for your business or for your area of expertise. So it really is like the headline event of the year.
Right on. Now, we are, of course, still in the middle of the pandemic, and in-person events are no longer taboo. People are coming together, but obviously things are different than before. So what can you tell us about the precautionary measures in place at the Hyatt Regency Minneapolis? And, you know, what's going to be different from past conferences?
Yeah, thanks for asking about this, because I know that this is something that's on a lot of people's minds. So we want to put your mind at ease if you are planning to attend in person. To give you an idea, we and our host hotel, the Hyatt Regency Minneapolis, are prioritizing the safety and the well-being of everybody who attends on site. So right now, the hotel staff is continuing to wear masks regardless of their vaccination status, and they're encouraging everybody else to do the same. Masks are highly recommended for vaccinated guests, but they are required for unvaccinated guests. So we'll continue to follow those guidelines and the guidelines set forth by the CDC, as well as any guidelines that the Hyatt company sets. And so in addition to that, this year we are requiring everybody who attends the conference in person to have proof of full vaccination or a negative COVID test within 72 hours of checking into the conference. We, of course, encourage everyone, even those who are fully vaccinated, to get a test before you arrive just to maximize safety. Also, President Wozniak, our executive director, and our professional development manager all went on the conference site visit to Minneapolis in June. And we just had our most recent board meeting in Nashville as well, the board of directors. So being able to attend both of these meetings in person gives me great confidence that we can deliver an in-person event that allows people to interact safely with one another and still have a great time. So just to give you an idea, during the site visit, the Hyatt presented their health and safety guidelines, and we were able to see firsthand how they're implementing them as we toured the hotel and conference area. So things like hand sanitizing stations throughout the conference area. There will be no like buffet serving, like serve yourself style of food anymore. Just lots of different things that they are putting in place to keep people safe. And also we're working on an FAQs page right now for the conference so that attendees know what to expect, however they plan to attend, whether they attend in person or virtually. So that should be up soon, but keep watching the conference website, which is again, ata62.org for more information, because we're going to keep updating that as things change.
Now, let's take a closer look at what we can expect from this year's conference. You mentioned 120 educational sessions. So let's talk about that. What kind of topics are being covered this year? And is there something for both veterans and newcomers to the language industry?
Yeah, so as usual, we have a wide range of topics that we will cover in our educational sessions. Like I said, we have 120 educational sessions plus the option for different AST sessions. We have 15 AST sessions this year on Wednesday. And we have quite a few tracks. If you've ever been to our conference, you know that we have a lot of tracks. There's everything ranging from language specific specialization, language specific and specialization specific sessions, business related topics, advocacy, machine translation, audiovisual translation and subtitling, and much more than I can even list here. But there are also some sessions that focus on ATA benefits and programs. And the one that I'm really excited to see is actually a panel of colleagues who took part this year in our ATA Mastermind program. So they're going to share their experience about, that they had with the program and what they were able to achieve together over the time that they worked together.
That'll be really interesting. I'm looking forward to that because that program, just started this year. That's brand new.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier AST Day. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is a really special day. This came about at the time when Corinne McKay was our president-elect. So it's been several years we've been doing AST. It's right before the conference starts. So it's on Wednesday, and we offer a set of 3-hour courses that provide intensive interactive instruction from, people that are known to be highly acclaimed speakers in our field and among our colleagues. And just so everybody knows, ATA certified translators can earn 3 credits for each course that they attend, so CEPs, and up to 5 CEPs per day. And interpreters can also earn continuing education credits for the sessions that relate to interpreting. So it's really just a fun way to kick off the conference. And also, just like the rest of the conference, those who pay for AST sessions will have long-term access to watch those on demand.
Now, as longtime attendees, you and I both know how important networking is at these conferences. And I know I look forward to those opportunities. What kind of networking opportunities will ATA 62 offer?
Well, a lot, actually. It's something that I think people look forward to as part of the conference every year. And for many people, this is the reason that they come to the conference, even beyond the educational sessions. So these sessions are always popular, these events, and veterans will be happy to know that we're hosting all of the usual suspects, if you will. So there's the Buddies Welcome Newbies event on Wednesday. We're going to have virtual Buddies Welcome Newbies and an on-site one, so one for each type of attendee. We will have Stronger Together networking again, which I'm excited to bring back from last year. There will be some brainstorm networking, some speed networking, and then of course breakfast with the board and breakfast with the candidates. But there will be more networking events for those who attend on site, just because it is logistically, easier to do that when we meet in person, but we will have some networking events for virtual attendees as well. And of course, with kind of goes without saying, but the hallways. So anybody who's attended an annual conference in the past will tell you how much networking is done in the hallways between sessions. And that's one of the reasons we actually allow extra times between sessions, beyond the fact that this year we have cleaning protocols and such. But this so people can have time to speak with each other and network with each other, and they don't have to race from like one session to another.
What about opportunities to meet potential clients and find work?
Yeah, so we have the job fair that is popular every year, but this year we're doing it a little bit differently. We're going to hold the job fair this year during lunchtime on Friday. We didn't want it to compete with the other evening sessions. And since we have a longer lunch period that day, we thought it would be easy for folks to come and go either before or after they've had a chance to grab a bite to eat for lunch. And then also we'll have the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall is open every day during the conference all day. And if you're there in person, you can go there to discover new products, learn about school programs, and to see which agencies are hoping to recruit your services. But if you're attending virtually, there will be a virtual exhibit hall, and we've made improvements to that this year on the virtual platform. So you'll see that too. And like I said, the hallways, there's always an opportunity to meet potential clients, either in the hallway or at the hotel lounge or something like that. There's always somebody there who's looking for somebody to help them, right? And so this is one of the events where people often tell us that they pick up new clients and long-term clients as well.
There are also association events for ATA business. Can you tell us briefly about those?
Yeah. So these sessions provide an opportunity for members to learn more about what ATA is doing. And of course, all of the volunteers who keep this ship going, right, who keep it moving ahead. There's also a chance for members to take an active role in their association and in our professions. So we have the welcome celebration, of course, even though that's not really learning about ATA, you will inevitably meet somebody who is, an active volunteer in ATA. So that's kind of how we kick off the conference every year, the welcome celebration on Wednesday evening. But as far as events with like meetings, we have the opening and closing sessions. We have meet the candidates and the annual meeting of voting members in the election. So the meet the candidates is more of a breakfast type of event where you can go and touch base with candidates, ask them questions before you go into the meeting of voting members. And that's of course only going to be available this year for anybody attending on site. We can't, stream a breakfast table to everybody. But we will have the annual meeting of voting members in the election after that. And so this year, there are several candidates running for the position of director, and there are 2 candidates for each of the officer positions. So this would be a good time to talk to them in the morning and then go and listen to their statements as well during the annual meeting of voting members. And then there are also several proposed bylaws amendments to vote on this year. They're mostly cleanup amendments. There's not really anything truly significant that would make a massive change for ATA, but they really are cleaning up the bylaws in many ways. So watch for those. And one change this year is that all voting will be electronic or digital, if you will, this year. We will have no paper ballots in person this year, which is a change that I'm really happy to see. We will save some trees this year.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then finally, there's the annual meeting of all members, and that happens on Friday. So this is when you really get the update from, the association on how we're doing financially and different programs that we have and things like that. So that's something that we encourage everybody to attend before the sessions start on Friday. And then right after that, we have our awards ceremony, which is going to be exciting again this year.
Now, as we mentioned before, last year the conference was virtual only, and this year it's going to be a hybrid. Tell us a little bit more about what the experience is going to be like, based on experience last year, for those who wish to attend virtual only.
Yeah, so We understand that a lot of people just can't make it in person this year, even if they want to. Specifically, I'm thinking of our attendees from other countries, right? It's just really difficult right now to travel internationally for many people, especially with like restrictions on travelers entering the United States. But on top of that, we know some people just aren't comfortable traveling right now for various reasons. So we're still, we realize we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and people just have a lot to consider right now when it comes to attending live events. But we want what we want is for those who want to attend the conference this year to be able to do so from anywhere in the world. And for those who can make it in person, we're going to have a heck of a reunion. So of course, we'll do everything we can to make it a very safe event. And we're just going to continue to monitor the status of things in Minneapolis with the hotel and local officials. We get weekly updates from them, and we'll also be following the CDC and Hyatt guidelines, which I mentioned earlier for in-person events. And we're hoping that it will be just an excellent conference for everybody, no matter how they attend. But you know, Matt, if I weren't president-elect, I just wouldn't miss it either. I go in person because I need to be there, but I wouldn't miss it no matter what. I don't know about you, but I've really missed getting together with colleagues and friends. And last year was really tough, and we only got to see one another through our screens. And it's been more than a year at this point, right? But this year we know more, and we know more, you know, in general, and we can meet safely and take the necessary precautions that allow us to come together and to be in each other's company again. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I've got to concur. Last year, and it's the conference is sort of my one business trip to the States every year, and it's kind of like my professional lifeline to friends and colleagues over there. And it was a real bummer not being able to travel last year. And I've done a little traveling in the meantime, and I feel a lot more comfortable now that I've actually experienced international travel. You know, I flew to the States this summer. And so that's why I'm definitely going to be there, because I feel confident enough that I can travel there safely, and that I can be around friends and colleagues safely as well. So really looking forward to seeing you again, Madalena, in person.
Yes, definitely.
So a couple final questions here. It occurred to me that, you know, a hybrid, I mean, last year I remember talking to you and doing this virtual conference. This is just a whole new world, but now you're doing a hybrid, which is just, you know, another something new. So this just must have meant a lot of extra planning for you, and just doing things you certainly weren't expecting to doing. So can you tell us what kinds of things you've had to consider this year that you haven't had to consider in the past?
Yeah, you nailed it, Matt. You know, when I kind of joke about this, but it's a bit tongue in cheek because it's true. When I became president-elect, I had no idea that I would be planning 2 conferences in a row with brand new conference models for ATA. But here we are. So let's see. Yeah, we've had to think about how to make the conference experience beneficial for 2 audiences. So those coming to Minneapolis in person, and those who are going to be attending from like their home offices, right? So it is like planning 2 conferences simultaneously. I can't say enough good things about our staff at headquarters. You know, Adrienne Alekna, our professional development manager, Mary David, you know, our executive director, Walter Baycock, and like just everybody is always, you know, has a positive mindset about it, and we're going to make this work, and we're going to do the best we can for everybody who wants to attend. And it's like all hands on deck. So we definitely have had to think about how to make the conference experience beneficial to both audiences, like I said. But one thing we had to make a choice about early on, and I know that not everybody's excited about this, but I think that if people understand the reason, then it will make more sense. So we had to make the decision early on to only stream and record the sessions from Minneapolis, from one location. So this was not a decision based solely on logistics, right? Because that is part of it. But really, it was more about the cost. It's going to be very, very expensive for us to stream and record 120 plus sessions, plus the AST sessions that I mentioned earlier, right? But by having our AV team all in Minneapolis doing the work on site, it allows our virtual attendees to watch those sessions, and we're able to save money, because if we, you know, did all of them recorded and streamed remotely, it would be just an exponential cost to the association. So there's reasoning behind that for sure, but logistics is definitely part of that that whole question. So but from a non-financial perspective, a hybrid conference is something that's just constantly changing with new technology. I mean, who would have thought 2 years ago that we'd even be having a hybrid event? But at the same time, it's been a fun challenge to figure out how to make it exciting and appealing for both types of attendees. So it's something that we're learning as we go, and we're seeing even from last year, from the virtual conference to this year, how the technology has changed and improved. So I'm just expecting that that will continue to be the case.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Right on. Well, definitely looking forward to see the results in action in Minneapolis. Well, that about wraps it up for me. Do you have anything you'd like to add or any final words for our listeners?
I just want to say that registration is now open, so you can find all the information you need at ata62.org. For anybody who is attending in person, please note that we do have two in-person certification exam sittings at the conference, one on Wednesday, and I believe the other one I want to say is on Saturday. I think it's on Saturday. So check the conference schedule for that. And also just a reminder that ATA certified translators can earn 1 CEP for each hour that they attend, up to a maximum of 10 CEPs. So that's quite a bit you can get in one weekend. And then certified interpreters can also earn continuing education credit as well. So we actually have a new system we're going to put into place this year for interpreters that I've been working on with some of our volunteers to show proof of attendance for interpreters for their continuing education credits with the various entities where they have their credentials from. So if you're an interpreter, watch for that. There'll be a slight change, but I think it'll be easier for everybody this year.
Right on. Madalena, thank you so much for all this information today and for joining me today. And really, I'd like to thank you all for all the work you've done and put into planning this year's annual conference.
Thanks, Matt. It's my pleasure.
All right, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank everyone who helped produce the show today. Derek Platts mixed and edited the audio. Ben Carl is the voice behind the announcements. And Mary David and Rashawn Paccarel at ATA headquarters provided editorial and technical support. If you learned anything new in today's podcast, I bet there's someone out there who would like to know it too. Don't be stingy. Tell them about the podcast. I've gotten to know so many great podcasts that way. I promise they'll thank you for it. And if you're not an ATA member, listen up. I've been a member for over 20 years. Joining ATA literally launched my freelance career, and I've never looked back. Nowadays, the demand for translators and interpreters is at an all-time high. But finding quality work isn't easy. ATA membership can make the difference. And ATA isn't just for translators and interpreters. Individuals, companies, and organizations can join. We have teachers and professors, hospital administrators, language company owners, technology developers, as well as language companies, universities, hospitals, and government agencies. If you'd like to know more, go to ATA's website, atanet.org. You can also check out past episodes of this podcast where we talk about the benefits of membership and what's currently happening in the association. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Talk to you again soon.